Welcome, guys, to Out of Battery Not So Live. Today we have Bob from JSD Supply and BitPlum. How you guys doing today?
Awesome, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah.
Good. Thanks for coming.
All right. Bob, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and JSD?
Yeah, I'm Bob. I think what landed me here is that I've known Mr. Jordan, the owner of JSD, and now the owner of a couple other companies in the same space. I've known him for over 10 years, and I actually got from the gun perspective, right? I've been building guns almost as long as he's kind of been in the space, right? He started a little over or about 10 years ago. So I know him from there, and was in telecommunications for almost 18 years. And when they laid me off, I actually had done some business with him in the telecom industry. And when they laid me off, I kept in touch with him. And he's one of the first people I reached out to and said, man, I'm out of it now too. And before I even got another breath out, right, I wasn't even like looking for a job, right? I had a severance coming from the other place. He was like, hey, I'm busier than I can stand here. I could use somebody that knows something about guns. Do you want to come up? So I started rolling up a couple days a week to his shop part-time, just banging slides together, help ship stuff, you know what I mean? Kind of with assembly and shipping. And now here I am. What did I do after that? I started doing that, and then we hired a couple more guys, and all of a sudden I was in charge of these other guys that were putting stuff together. And I said, okay, that's kind of cool. And yeah, now I'm here. I guess I'm doing marketing and run around to stuff like the Gunmakers match that we were talking about right before we got started here. SHOT Show, things like that, the larger events that we're trying to make different connections, I guess, right? Expand our presence or see what we can do to help other people expand what they're doing in the space and in the communities.
So how long have you guys been in the 3D printed community, the 3D printed maker community?
That's maybe, gosh, man, I'm terrible with time. The other day I was talking about when I started. I was like, has it really been that long? Or I asked one of the other guys, like, how long you been here now? And he said, how long? I was like, there's no way I've been there that long. It's been at least a year, I want to say, probably longer than that. I think we kind of started playing around in this space pretty early. I know I wasn't in charge of nothing or nobody the first time I was stripping a pistol, right? So much like the 80% game started, a decade ago when Polymer 80s first came out. What was that, 2016? The beginning of the 3D printed, right? Or I think that's the way it started. And now we're seeing people produce actual parts specifically made for the 3D printed gun community. Yeah, I think it was before I was doing all this or in charge of anyone that I stripped my first whole pistol to make a parts kit to send out to somebody that was 3D printing their frame. So it's got to be over a year, I want to say.
Awesome.
What's your favorite build so far that you've seen?
That I've seen? Good. I was going to say,
yeah.
not that I've completed.
Right.
I think the ARC, the pistol caliber ARC, probably. And again, it's still more of a hobby, right? I've got a printer running behind me. I've got a bunch of frames laying here. I dedicate as much time as I can to it. But that's what I'm going to say, maybe because it's sitting beside me and it's been frustrating as hell. I forget how long I've been working on this. Probably since we got our first parts kits from Invader Zip. When we first started retailing, I was like, you know what? Now I finally got the parts, right? Or the base parts kit. I don't have any excuses left. I got to do an ARC because it looked awfully like there's a lot involved in it. Yeah, there's all kinds of cool stuff, man. But I'm going to say that off the tip because I'm not going to touch it. Well, I guess we're not live. I probably could touch it, but I've got some red and purple stuff. I've got a barrel on, and I got to go find my barrel nut wrench and pray that I didn't cross thread the barrel nut.
At least you'd be able to print another one.
That's right.
I've already printed like my sixth one, man. I keep getting different, and no matter how I orient it, I get a weird warp in a different place. And this one I still did. But I decided to just grab the Dremel and the drill, and I say, you know what? I'm not going to reprint a whole receiver. I'm not going to print a seventh one. I'm going to make this one work and just modify it a little bit. So I've got it. Can I pick it up?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've got it this far now.
Okay. Heck yeah.
I've got it that far. Yeah. And if I'd run across the road to the other building and get the AR barrel nut wrench, I'd probably already be past there.
All right. Tell us about this competition.
Tell us what about, well, I don't have any notes here. I should really make notes, or at least have an idea what I'm going to say.
So
Look, man, I'll tell you where this came from, and I was telling you guys a minute ago. I think I've only really discussed this on John's show. This came from me printing my 70 millionth, not 70 millionth, but I don't even know how many different Glock frame with a different texture or pattern on it. Man, there's all kinds of guys doing obviously really cool design work like this arc, but obviously what everybody's printing is Glocks, right? Because it's easy, and I got the parts laying around. I know exactly what I'm doing with it, and I drug one of our Revelation slides on it, and I said it'd be cool if I had one that matched that. You know what I mean? The way some of the production guns that we see coming out, right? That have the cuts in the slide usually match, right? There's an aesthetic to factory guns that your big name manufacturers, or even smaller name manufacturers, are putting out. And I messaged Jordan and said, what we should do is have a competition where somebody has to make a frame that matches our slide, right? Which is just because I'm not smart enough or don't have the time to learn how to do it myself, is what I told him. I said, I wish I was smart enough to do that. So why don't we should have somebody do it? And I didn't think he'd really bite on it. He's like, yeah, you know what? We should. I'm going to get on the Twitter and see if anybody wants to be involved in it. I was like, that's cool. There's a half dozen guys that I talked to that he's friends with already. Some of the folks we've interacted with before, like Chairman Juan or Cron. I was like, there's some guys I know that would want it. And to our surprise, there was a lot of people that wanted in. Even before there was any mention of prizes or anything, people said a design competition, and they were all in. So that's where this thing was born, and I'm super hyped, man. And again, part of the reason, right? And I talked about how long ago I'm pretty sure we got into to trying to supply parts for the 3D printing community. I love where it's gone and how it's grown. And with what the government is constantly doing and did recently, I think it's even more important that this grows, right? That more people are expressing their freedom in ways that the government can't stop, can't really regulate away. That man, time to bump that signal up a little.
Yep,
that's
absolutely.
what I really love about this.
We're still so early here too. I mean, the community is tiny compared to the actual 2A community, where it's just there's so much room to grow.
Yeah, man, printing was almost nothing. Like what? I swear a year ago, there was just this little niche, and it's not huge. It's got, another 10,000% to grow, but I can't believe where it is now as compared to where it is a year ago. And again, I'm not a developer, I'm not in the know, right? For the folks out there, I'm not pretending to be, super in tune with the heartbeat of 3D printing, but looking from where we are, right? From a company perspective, or me just being a average, Joe Schmo. He's got a Ender 3V2 running behind me and a 5 Pro in the next room that can mostly replace parts. Just watching from that perspective, and a guy that mostly pushes buttons and gets weird colored Glock frames with leftover red filament and what was left of a fluorescent yellow roll. I'm just amazed at how large it's become, and I think we need to keep that momentum going, get it everywhere.
All right. So what are the rules to this contest?
I've sent out like 3 emails to the competitors. So the rules are, right, it has to take the parts that someone, right, whoever wins your bracket challenge is going to receive, right? The parts kit, which is a Revelation compact. It's a G19 base, right? So use that. And I guess we're going to call it DD 19.2, right? This type of front rail module, right? We probably already know what that is. It's got to be 19.2 based. It can't need any other hardware for an average idiot like me to get a functional firearm out of it, right? So it's got to be one file that somebody who knows enough to set up their slicer settings in their machine correctly and print a frame can print the frame out and use that hardware kit and make a gun. It can have places for other attachments to hang off of it. But it can't, in case any of those guys are watching, it can't be a PDW, right? So again, the objective here is to get a frame that any idiot like me can print that looks cool, I guess. I don't know. Or ultimately, what I wanted was for it to match that Revelation slide, but the judging is going to be public judging. However, the hosts, right, such as you folks, right, you guys are going to host, I think, at least one matchup, right, where the competitors, they're going to print out, and they can paint if they want. They can hang attachments on it. They're going to submit a photograph of their file of what they made. And we're going to have just 2 photographs, right? I'm going to judge either. It's going to be up to you guys and the other shows that are hosting, whether it's through comments, whether there's some way to put a poll up here. We'll probably end up doing some Twitter stuff. I don't know. I don't know if they're all going to be live judging, especially for the first round. There's going to be 8 of them. I don't know if I can do 8 shows in a week if we find 8 shows that want to have us. But yeah, it's going to be public voting matchups head to head. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's all the rules.
Prizes for each bracket. I know there were some.
It is. So every first round winners, right? So there'll be 8 people that get $100 for the first round. Second round is 300, right? There'll be 4 people that win that round that'll get 300 each. The 2 that win the semifinals, I guess we'll call it'll be 500 each, and grand prize winner is $2,000.
Nice. That's nice.
Yeah, it is.
Man, I'm hyped. And I think I wrote down, you guys might have to remind me. I emailed you. You'll probably email me back, but you have to let me know whether you want me to send the prize for the bracket winner, right? You're letting anybody that goes over to Trion and downloads and fills out a bracket get entered to win some stuff. And one of those things is going to be the competitor kit. They're going to get all the parts, the Revelation compact slide, the rails, the lower parts kit, the slide parts, the whole thing to finish off one of these frames.
Absolutely. And we appreciate that a bunch.
And one of the other rules, I didn't mention this one earlier, but I know those guys all got emailed, is they have to make it publicly available somewhere, whether that's on their own website or they just put it on Odyssey, whatever. There has to be a link somewhere that anybody that wants to print it can get it for free. It's not behind a paywall.
So essentially 16 different designs for this slide are going to be released that week.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Correct. They can release it before they want it, actually. I mean, but it has to be done by then. Yeah, but there's going to be 16. And then, because at least one competitor asked, they can make alterations in subsequent rounds. If that makes sense. If they'd like to, if they see who they're up against or saw what came out, what everybody else made in the first round, they're like, oh, I want to change this or that or add something. They're certainly welcome to. So it doesn't have to be the exact same frame every round. So we could end up with, I'm not good with math, right? But we're going to get 16 fresh ones for the first round for sure. We could see some alterations, and those next 8 that compete in the next round might not even be the same. Yeah. It's going to be.
So the first day of voting, the first round, that will be October 4th. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
and then the subsequent day all the way to the weekend.
I guess. I don't know, man. I really don't have that much figured out. I had a deadline, and I got to find a first show. Will probably be on John Crump Live, I guess. I don't know what days you normally get on. What days do you guys normally broadcast? I'd be happy to jump on whenever. Or if you don't want me, if you prefer.
No. We'd love to have you. We can talk about that after we go over the rules. When we're done, I do have several questions for you about that, and we can go all the way with this. If you want us to host each bracket, we'll talk about that at the end.
Right.
Okay, so essentially, we could be looking at maybe a day or 2 break. I think I heard the 4th through the 8th, maybe along the grapevine there. So it could be subsequently each day, all the way to the end at the weekend for the announcement, or you may make it last a little bit longer, depending on if you get enough.
We'll do as fast or slow as we want. We may throw some out on Twitter, man. But yeah, absolutely. The objective is to get that first round done that first week. Yeah, it would be awesome to get it 10-4 through 10-8, whether it be summer Twitter, summer live. If I have to go on 3 shows a day, whatever has to happen. I'd love to get that first round cranked out in the first week and then just do it week by week. Yeah, It would be great.
Do you see this as being a reoccurring thing? Obviously, depending on its success, is this something you guys would either want to do more of yourself or urge other big companies in our space to do?
Yeah, I really would like to. Even just the support from folks like you, the amount of engagement from the competitors and people that wish they could have got in, right? Missed the tweet where you could volunteer to enter this competition. I'd love to see us do this, not just annually, as often as we can. Once I get finished with this, I'll breathe and then maybe figure it out. Unless you guys and anybody watching out there, if you've got a great idea for something like this, right? Even altering existing designs or maybe coming up with brand new designs, right? I'll give a shout out to Chairman Juan. He's one of the guys that emailed me and said, "Hey, I'd really like to do this to it. Are you saying I can't submit this?" And I said no, right? It was like a structural change, if that makes sense. And that's not just because we don't want it to use anything else, right? There's at least 2 guys that said, "Well, can I make it a PDW? I want to have this thing that goes on the back." And it was like, no, it has to be one file that does this. And that's as much about leveling the playing field for this first one, right? Because I don't know what everyone's level of expertise is with CAD as far as adding actual functional items or changing the shape of internal dimensions. We wanted this to be kind of level so that everybody was kind of, competing so no one was getting beat by a skill set in designing, if that makes sense. This is just purely an art competition. But yeah, I'd like to see us do stuff like that, maybe. If you guys think that would be cool. And again, we can talk about that in between.
Sure, absolutely.
I feel like you have something in mind. You already have an idea.
We've got so many ideas. We have this huge folder where we just, there's so much. But absolutely. Okay, Danny. So do you want to explain how our bracket contest will go?
Yes, and I want you to moderate me so I don't get it wrong. So Mr. Bitplum made this fantastic bracket that we're looking at on screen right now with our 16 competitors. Is that correct?
Yep.
16 competitors. Before October 4th, if you want to enter into our bracket competition for the competitor kit, you need to fill this out all the way down with the winner and send it to, are we sending it to attabatterylive@gmail.com?
Yes.
attabatterylive@gmail.com. You can get this on our Utreon page. You go to Utreon, search Out of Battery Live. It'll come up. You can just download this, not behind the paywall or anything like that. And then up to October 4th, you can submit it. Now, the winner is going to be out of 15 points overall because there's 15 winners here, right? So the person with the most winning brackets wins. Does that sound right, Bit?
Yes.
Okay. And I think that's about as simple as it gets.
We got about a dozen submissions in the first day. I mean, from this morning alone, I've looked at some of these. You guys are wild. That's for sure.
Man, some of these matchups are tough, very tough. I switched my bracket around many times. So.
You guys are really easy to find on Utreon too. And thanks for bringing me back to Utreon. I've got some of my old content on there, but I hadn't been on there in forever. They have a pretty good UI. I also, obviously, a lot of guys host everything on Odyssey, but Utreon is looking maybe closer to that YouTube user interface that people are looking for, if that makes sense. Searching for stuff on Odyssey can be a struggle. It's great to have somewhere that's free and censorship free in particular to put stuff. But Utreon is I hadn't tooled around in there, and I don't even know how long. And you guys are super easy to find. The tabs are set up really well.
You hear that, Justin? You're doing an amazing job. We love you.
Justin runs our Utreon. That's right.
Yep, he's killing it.
It wasn't so much for Justin as whoever runs Utreon, but okay, Justin.
Yeah, Utreon. Yes,
Justin runs the Utreon.
Is also killed it.
All right, then. Anything else?
Got anything else?
Me?
I'm excited. I'm excited for this. I can't wait to see first round results.
I thought you said you had questions. Did we already do the questions? Were they just peppered in there?
Literally, you just answered all of our questions all in one go. You're really good at this interview stuff.
If you don't stop me, I'll just keep talking, man.
We love
I don't know that I'm good at it. This, not that you care, but being on camera kind of terrifies me. I end up often saying things that I shouldn't or saying things that don't make any sense. So I'll take that as a compliment that you said that I answered all the questions. I'm going to call this one a victory and walk away and be like, you're finally getting it, Bob. It's only been, I think I did my first YouTube video in like 2018. Yeah, so it's only been 4 years. I'm finally starting to get it.
Well, hang around after I hit end broadcast. And I just want to say thanks for coming on and answering everybody's questions. We're going to drop this on YouTube tomorrow on Utreon. That way everybody can, and we'll start linking it in the morning. That way everybody can, get all the questions that we've fielded today answered. So thank you very much for coming on.
Before we end it, do you want to plug your social medias, where we can find you, where we can find JSD, all that stuff?
No, man, it says JSD Supply right at the top of the screen.
All
There.
right.
That's good enough, man. I can't thank you guys enough for everything.
Absolutely, man.
You've made this 10 times cooler than it was already, just by grabbing it, just by what you've done already, man. This is huge. We're excited.
Well, we're gonna keep hyping it all the way to the end.
Let's go.
All right.
Hell yeah, dude.